Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Carter. I love talking about movies, comic books, superheroes, and horror movies. And of course, the big thing for superheroes, comic books, and movies this weekend, the Holy Trinity, so to speak, is the release of Captain America Brave New World. Now, Holy Trinity is a word that I probably shouldn't have used, or a phrase I shouldn't have used, mainly because it is getting eviscerated online. And I'm here to say that I really don't believe it's as bad as people are saying. Now, as you can tell, I am a big Marvel fan. I'm a big comic fan. In fact, I've got new Absolute Batman and new Iron Man that I'm currently reading. Yes, Iron Man was upside down. Those are just two of the runs I'm currently reading. I'm reading a lot more. So I know what I'm talking about when it comes to comic books and when it comes to comic book films. I grew up on the MCU, so I'll be the first to admit I'm definitely a little biased when it comes to this stuff. The MCU is what got me into filmmaking. I've said it a million times and I'll keep saying it. It's like the thing I love almost as much as I love my wife. That being said, I don't think it's without criticism. Brave New World is definitely not a perfect film. It's not a terrible film either, I don't think. People who are painting it out to be some sort of disaster, for some reason I feel like they've missed the last year of Sony Marvel films. I mean, you had the unholy trifecta of Morbius, Venom 3, and Madam Web come out just last year. And I'll be the first to admit, was Brave New World perfect? Like I said before, no, it was definitely not perfect. So instead of doing a regular review like I like to do, I'll kind of try and break it down a little bit more and try and be a little more myself rather than the film reviewer. I'll try and be more of the comic guy, the MCU fan, because I truly believe that it's not the worst thing Marvel Studios has ever put out. I like it more than Iron Man 3. I like it more than the Eternals. I like it more than the Marvels. I like it more than Captain Marvel, Black Widow, Thor 2, Thor 4, Ant-Man 3, Ant-Man 2. I like it quite a bit, but I don't think it reaches the heights that people are so used to. So I will say that, I mean, if you're not a fan of Sam Wilson as a character, that's fine. You're allowed to have your opinion and not care for Sam Wilson as a character. However, saying that he's undeserving of the mantle of Captain America, I completely disagree with that. You may feel how you feel about Sam Wilson, say he's not deserving of the mantle of Captain America. I get that, but I just don't agree with it at all. Sam Wilson is a character who's really grown on me in the MCU. He's been Captain America in the comics for a while now. I have a comic book action figure of him right there from his first appearance, or Sam Wilson, Captain America #1, which I also own and have read and enjoyed. I think that he's a great Captain America. Just last year in the comic book run Blood Hunt, which was the crossover for the Marvel Universe last year, he rallied the surviving heroes that weren't vampires and had them fight the vampires that had overtaken the Earth. It sounds silly, but it's actually a really cool comic book. I really enjoyed the storyline. And so I think that Sam Wilson is a great person to lead the Avengers. He's a great person to be Captain America. And one thing that worries me from the reception of this film is that Marvel's going to take a big step backwards and say, oh, the people don't like Sam Wilson. I feel like most people aren't complaining about Sam Wilson as Captain America. Instead, they're complaining about maybe the lack of a character arc, a fully realized character arc for Sam. While I do think that his character went through a lot of really great stuff in Brave New World, I don't think it's a fully fleshed out character arc that just is from start to finish. You can clearly telegraph it. I don't think that it's as good as the other three Captain America films, but I still enjoyed it. I mean, there's a ton of positives to be had about Brave New World. First off, you can tell Anthony Mackie is just really excited to be Captain America, and he plays it very, very well. I think this movie understands what Captain America is as an ideal. The movie understands what Captain America represents to everybody in the world, not just Americans, not just, like Anthony Mackie was saying, not just black kids, not just white kids, but to everybody around the world. It understands fundamentally what Captain America represents, and you get that in the conversation that Sam has with a character in a hospital. I won't spoil it, but I think that was far and away my favorite scene in the movie because A, it was incredibly well written, and B, it just totally understood what Captain America is as a character, regardless of whether or not it's Steve Rogers, Sam Wilson, or Bucky Barnes, as it has been in the comics. Captain America as a character represents so much more than the super soldier serum. It represents so much more than being strong and running around fighting bad guys and having the shield. It's an idea. It is a character. And I think the movie really gets that, and I loved that about the film. I also really enjoyed a lot of the action here. I thought that the more grounded aspect on some action was really interesting and unique. Some of the hand-to-hand combat was also great, and the final fight was more brutal than I expected. I enjoyed the aerial fights. I thought that was, something that you don't see in the other Captain America films. It's, Sam Wilson, Captain America, because he has the wings. You get to see those kind of aerial combat scenes that I enjoyed. I think, the CGI could be a little spotty. People are just really nitpicky. I saw someone complain, if Sam has the shield and he holds it up, don't you know how aerodynamics work? Yeah, it's a comic book film, dude. If you are really obsessed with the aerodynamics and the physics of Captain America's shield, I don't know how to tell you, but the last 17 years of your life have been a lie, because ever since, not 17, the last 15 years, ever since he appeared in the first Avenger, it hasn't been realistic. Captain America's shield isn't realistic. I don't know how to tell you. I'm very sorry if you're hearing that for the first time. You've got to hear it at some point. It's just not realistic. It's a comic book film. I also enjoyed Harrison Ford quite a bit and Carl Lumbly. I think the supporting cast here is really good. The only character and performance that I didn't really care for was liking Sabra. Yeah, that's her name. It's weird. I didn't really care for her. She didn't really add much in the film. I don't know why Marvel added her when they could have had someone else, or someone more interesting, someone more compelling, but here we are. It's the world we live in, I suppose. All that being said, one thing that I really did love about this film, and probably the last positive I'll give it, before I kind of get into what really doesn't work for me, is the cinematography. I thought that the cinematography, for the most part, when it's not doing the green screen or the reshoots, was really fantastic. It takes a lot of cues from just basic camera work and camera knowledge, placing your characters in the bottom third of the screen, bottom third of the camera, making it feel very small. They feel very small. They feel out of place. It makes the world feel ajar. It makes it feel strange. And it kind of builds this tension up, and I really enjoyed that. I think that it did great work for a lot of the film. I also think that when it's trying and when it's not rushed, it looks fantastic. Like in the scenes where it's just Harrison Ford in a room talking to somebody, or he's in the Oval Office near the end, you see that light come through, you get the haze and a bit of a film grain. It just looks fantastic. That's what film is about, man. That's what all these Marvel movies should look like. And I say that as a huge fan of Marvel. That's when I was like, oh my gosh, that looks like a genuine film. Like they're trying to replicate a feeling of those 70s, 80s political thrillers, kind of like Winter Soldier did, but with a bigger film grain. And I think that worked really, really well. This is really scattershot, and I don't really have a structure. I just wanted to kind of turn the camera on, talk about Brave New World. One thing that I did notice is that people are really complaining about some of the cameos in this film. Like, people would think they're just going to bring them back for Brave New World, people that we've seen before, and that's all Marvel knows is cameos. Well, some people, some audience members definitely do focus way too much on cameos. I think the cameos in this one were well earned. I mean, one of them is literally a plot point that's brought up in the very beginning of the film, and the cameo that you get at the end of the film is resolving that plot point, that emotional character arc for that character. And one of the other cameos, pretty much the only other cameo, I guess because it is just like one scene, is a very, very huge scene in the film that's like I mentioned before, my favorite scene in the film, because it's two characters talking about what Captain America represents. So I fundamentally disagree with that point. I think it's stupid. Sometimes I like to be respectful, but I'm going to be honest. I think it's stupid. I think if you're saying that, you're just looking for reasons to be mad, and you're completely missing the actual context of the scenes. And I don't think you're actually trying to critique the film. I think you're just looking for a reason to be upset. Now, speaking of reasons to be upset, there are plenty reasons to be upset in this film. I do not think it's a perfect film, like I've stated many times. I don't even think it's a great film. I honestly think it falls neatly in like the 7 out of 10, 6.5 category, to where it's really enjoyable. There's things about it that I really liked, but there's also things about it I didn't really like. For example, a lot of the plot feels cobbled together, and you can feel the reshoots in this film. Looking back on it, you're like, oh, okay, so Giancarlo Esposito is introduced in the very beginning, and then he comes back a little bit, but it's just, you can tell that role was meant for something else. And the big thing here, kind of, try not to spoil it, but the whole film relies on a conspiracy. It relies on a mystery. Unfortunately, the aspects of that mystery are extremely obvious if you are a comic reader or if you've been involved with any of the marketing, the key to that mystery in every single bit of marketing they've had, which is a bummer. That makes it so the film doesn't feel as tense as it could be. If they just kind of hinted at stuff instead of outright showing it, I feel like this film would have been a lot more engaging and successful in its main conspiracy and its main mystery. And I think that some of the CGI it's honestly not that great. There are some moments with Red Hulk that don't look that fantastic. The leader, when he's in broad daylight, doesn't look that great. There's some very, very obvious green screen in the middle of the film and kind of near the end in the cherry blossoms. You can just see there's like one scene in particular. So yeah, there's things here. You know, it's a Marvel film. There's going to be not fantastic writing as much as it pains me to say that. There's going to be bad green screen. There's going to be bad CGI. But when I compare it to something like Captain Marvel or Black Widow or Thor the Dark World, Thor Love and Thunder, Quantumania, I feel like it's more of a complete thing than those. I like the tone considerably more, like Sam Wilson much, much more in this than like Ant-Man in Quantumania, so to speak. So I don't think it's bad, I don't think it's terrible, but I don't think it's perfect. I think that a lot of the reaction to this has been like very overreactionary. It's been very extreme. People have just been way too harsh on this film, in my opinion. If you think I'm wrong, feel free to let me know down in the comment section below. But that's about all I got for Brave New World. Did I have a good time? Yeah, I had a good time. Am I biased? Of course I'm biased. I'm extremely biased. Look around. How could I not be biased? But as always, guys, that's my just little spiel on Brave New World. What did you think about it? Let me know down in the comment section below. As always, have a great rest of your day.